Hello and good morning, everybody out there in the stream world. Sorry about the delay. This is the Virtual Warfare Community Showdown. Of course, I am Asylum, and with me today, I am joined by Nubius. Nubius, how you doing this morning, man?
Wonderful. Now that we are 43 minutes behind schedule, I'm about ready to get this game underway.
Most definitely. We ran into a little bit of a hiccup with daylight savings, but we finally got everybody up in the game. We're getting ready to start here in just a little bit, guys. We've got Dirtnap Gaming versus Team TLC. We'll be getting underway in just a minute here. While we wait for everybody to finish up, we're going to run just a quick ad here, and we will be right back, so stay tuned for the Virtual Warfare Community Showdown. And the commercial is going ahead and running. And we should be underway shortly. Can you go ahead and talk for me real quick, Nubius?
Yep. Can you hear me all right?
Okay, it was just a little fuzzy there at the beginning,
Gotcha.
but we will be good to go. Alright, you guys are. And for all you people that have ad block, you guys get to listen to us. Alright, and we are back. Thank you guys so much again for bearing with us. We know it's a little behind schedule, but we're going to get it taken care of. We got everybody up in the game, just about ready to go. We're just waiting for the go ahead from Team TLC, and we'll be underway. So, Nubius, how you been enjoying the tournament so far?
I actually did not get a chance to watch it live yesterday because I had work. I have to work Monday to Saturday essentially because I get to coach high school. Lucky me. But I did watch the VODs last night, a little bit of it, and there were some crazy games happening. I saw some pretty big plays, and there's some pretty big name teams in this first game right off the bat here. We have a sub for Team Dignitas for the League Championship Series with Riot. We have from Maple Street, who's Oddone's brother, Grim Samurai, who was featured on Reddit yesterday for a rather impressive Blitzcrank grab. Then he was swiftly denied a friend request to Skara, so that kind of stinks. Knowing that I'm friends with Scar and he's not, I got one up on him. Even though I don't have his caliber of play, at least I have Scar on my friends list.
At least you're friends with Skara. That is how we do it here. And then, of course, Dirt Nap Gaming been doing some pretty good things over there in the good old MLG Rising Stars Invitational.
Yeah, it's been going pretty well, but it looks like we are starting up with the picks and bans about time. Can't wait to see what they're gonna ban out. My guess is we'll probably see something like Hecarim, Jarvan Zinzao, possibly Thresh, and then a couple other oddball picks, possibly targeted bans because these guys have played each other in solo queue quite a bit. They're all at the same level around there, but we are seeing Elise disappearing right off the bat.
A very a very standard ban, at least that you would see out in the solo queue world. At least, of course, very strong up in that top lane. I'm really not surprised to see Evaniscus take that away from TLC.
Yeah, and the great thing about Elise is if you've been watching the EU LCS, she can go top, mid, or jungle, and she's been very prevalent in the jungle if they allow her to be picked. But then again, we are seeing some more beefy picks, such as Volibear, come into play, and Volibear didn't really see much play at all in Season 2, but the way that they've changed items and the jungle, he's been quite strong, very good tower diver, but Hecarim and Jarvan 4 already disappearing, and Katarina coming out disappearing, and that's a top pick for Evaniscus, so that's definitely a targeted ban right there.
They're definitely trying to target him out. And guys, I do apologize. My microphone was a little quiet. Please let me know in the chat if it's too loud or if it's coming across in any way as scratchy or itchy, and I'll get that taken care of. As we actually see the Malphite ban coming out from the side of Dirtnap Gaming, another fairly standard ban, although I don't really see anybody from TLC using Malphite all that often.
Malphite has been relatively kind of weak because if you shut him down, he's great for initiating, but he doesn't last very long. But then the Draven ban being targeted towards from Maple Street, I believe that's his number one played champion. He's quite fantastic with that, and Draven is very good at shutting down AD carries in lane. That's kind of his goal, to have a very strong lane phase so that once you break out into team fights, the other AD carry isn't going to be doing much at all. So you basically make it a 4v5. Twisted Fate instantly being locked in by Evaniscus. Twisted Fate, a fantastic ganker, fantastic roamer, and split pusher, but then and insta-lock Xin Zhao over on TLC side.
You know, Xin Zhao is just that super strong, super early game jungler who can put pressure on lanes ever so quickly, and then they also lock in the Nidalee. So it looks like they're going to go for a lot of early pressure there on the side of TLC. And when we see Maple Street instantly locking in that misfortune pick.
Yeah, and Misfortune, she's just an all-around strong AD carry. She's also able to push people around in lane. Not quite to the effect of Draven or an Urgot, for instance, but she does have very good mid-game strength, especially with her ultimate, able to lock down two or three people or catch them in the middle of that. It's going to be a rough time for your enemies. But then again, they have a diver like Xin Zhao, and Misfortune doesn't have any sort of inherent escapes. She does have that passive, the move quick, I believe it's called. No, it's strut. Excuse me, the strut, which gives her a good chunk of movement speed. But if she takes any sort of damage, it's going to be a little bit easier to catch her and lock her down. And if you take a look, Xin Zhao, Zyra, and an Ashe, the whole goal there is to try to pick off either Misfortune or Twisted Fate, lock them down, and immediately remove them from a team fight, and then in turn walk through the rest of the enemy team. But now we all are also seeing Nocturne and potentially Nasus being locked in. Uh,
The good old curse of the casters, whenever we talk about somebody going to go ahead and lock someone in, they decide they want to troll us. So they're going to start jumping around as we actually have Thresh and Blitzcrank being hovered over right now. But what I want to talk about really quick is that Zyra and Ashe bottom lane. In response to that misfortune pick now, I really, I really like Zyra as a support, and then Ashe, of course, for the kiting ability. But the problem is they're going to have to catch misfortune first.
that is true, and more likely than not, Twisted Fate will probably be rushing the Zhonya's Hourglass because it's just a fantastic item on him because he can use Destiny, use that teleport in the middle of an enemy team. They're looking like, oh, what is he doing? He must have misclicked. Free kill. Oh, he bought a Zhonya's. That kind of sucks. And the rest of his team swiftly follows up, and then you see a very quick ace on a fantastic Twisted Fate bait. But it looks like they did swap over. They picked up the Singed and Blitzcrank. So it's actually a fairly strong invade comp for Dirtnap Gaming right now.
You know, I really haven't seen a whole lot of Blitzcrank being played. For the most part, he's been banned out. So it's real interesting to see what Evaniscus is going to go ahead and do on that Blitzcrank. And of course, on the side of TLC, we've got Jace, who's got Extreme Poke. We've got Nidalee, who's got Extreme Poke. We've got an Ashe, who is able to not only initiate as an AD carry, but can kite incredibly well. And then we have Xin Zhao, who's that incredible initiator. It's an extremely, extremely poke heavy and engage heavy comp, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they decide to put that to play against this heavy invade from Dirtnap Gaming.
Well, a big counter to Dirtnap's very strong invade composition are you see Nidalee and Zyra. Those two are able to spot out invades from essentially anywhere because Zyra can start with her seeds at level 1 if she so chooses to do so, and Nidalee can start with those traps as well. So you throw a couple of those down in your jungle, then have the other choke points covered by the rest of your team, and you can easily tell if someone's deciding to run in, trying to steal those buffs, or pick up a very quick first blood. But with that being said, if you take a look at the two team comps, I would have to say that Dirtnap Gaming's late game team comp is much better, and TLC's team comp they're more oriented towards a very strong mid game. And if they can secure an advantage early on, you'll probably see them walk through Dirtnap Gaming going into that early mid game because Jace is fantastic against Singed. Singed's early game damage isn't terribly good. Meanwhile, Jace has fantastic burst without many items, moving up from levels 1 to 6. And slowly but surely, if he's able to get some decent farm, stay even in lane with Singed, you'll see him do some heavy burst going into that mid lane.
For sure, and while we're here in the spectator delay, guys, we are going to run one more 30-second commercial. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be right back. Stay tuned. Alright, commercials up and going. Alright. Got about another 15 to 16 seconds. Again, for all you people at the ad block, thank you for tuning in, but you need to turn your ad block off because you're awesome like that and we love you. All right, and we are back with the action. We're still about a minute into, or 1 minute left on the spectator delay. So I want to talk about this mid lane matchup. We've got well, it could be either Nidalee or Jace in the mid lane. I'm thinking it may be Jace up against this Twisted Fate. What are your thoughts on that one, Nubius?
I, I I I do think it's going to be Nidalee in the mid lane because she's able to roam to top or bottom lane very quickly, especially after she hits level 6, and her poke from the looking for the term, I'll just call it from the shadows, is so good. So she gets, let's say, a Doran's ring and maybe a Tear of the Goddess, maybe picks up a Cage's Lucky Pick and Tear of the Goddess. But ultimately, most Nidalees will be picking up Tear of the Goddess because that stacks up very well on her. It'll also stack up on her Cougar form abilities, and those don't cost any mana. But she'll be able to hide and just check out those spears. And then if she managed to land a good one, let's say she hits Ashe, a long distance spear hitting Ashe is going to take out about 50% of her health, especially early on. And that's going to be very terrifying. And then in turn, she can just jump in and get a very quick kill. But Dirtnap Gaming, they're going to be looking to prolong that lane phase as long as possible. Because if you take a look at their team, they want to get those Nocturne Twisted Fate ganks. You'll probably see them ganking together at the same time. And the longer that lane phase goes, the more opportunities they have to keep getting the combo ganks off. So they're going to look to hold towers, maybe probably not push them terribly quickly unless they get a bunch of early kills. And at the same time, they also want Singe to get farmed up, and they're going to have to try to prevent Jace from beating down Singe. So more likely than not, you're going to be seeing Nocturne probably hover around top quite a bit, and then Twisted Fate using that his first Destiny, potentially in the top lane, but more likely than not in the bottom lane. If you take a look, it's Zyra Ashe, but the only real stun that they have is going to be from Ashe's arrow, and Twisted Fate's going to hit 6 much, much earlier than Ashe will. So it could be very, very easy for Twisted Fate to come in, throw down that gold card, have Blitzcrank pull whoever he wants in, depending on who gets gold carded, and then a very big burst damage between Miss Fortune and Twisted Fate. And that could very easily snowball the game. But if that first Destiny does not go off terribly well, we could be potentially seeing a much different situation because Nidalee is also very good at pushing towers because when she uses her heal, she gets a big attack speed bonus, and that is very, very good at pushing down towers.
You know, I really like this poke heavy comp coming out from Team TLC. While I love Global by all means, Twisted Fate is by far my most played champion out there on the Fields of Justice. The poke comp I see, if it's played correctly, I think we're gonna see really, really outstanding play here in the early to mid game from Team TLC, and then if they can hold an advantage and keep that, they may be able to take this one fairly easily from Dirtnap.
All right, but anyway, we are in this, and let's take a look at what the starting items are. Let's see, Blitzcrank going for a Rejuve bead, and most Blitzcranks that you see, they like to go for that Fairy Charm because his mana costs are fairly high, and they also did just nerf his mana pool, so it makes it very tough. But this Blitzcrank looks like he's fairly confident in landing those grabs. He also may have 1 or 2 scaling mana regen runes thrown
As
into
we
his setup.
actually have a fight going down already, as Jace getting caught by the grab, and first blood actually going to go to from Maple Street there with an amazing grab and initiation there by Evaniscus.
Wow, so that's actually going to make life very difficult. Misfortune with a lead is a very scary misfortune, like I was saying before. From Maple Street likes to play that Draven because he's such a snowball heavy lane, but a Misfortune with a kill as well, it's essentially the same thing. She's going to be able to bully around that Ashe and Nidalee incredibly well because in early game, Ashe doesn't do terrible amount of damage because all she really has is her volley. Meanwhile, Misfortune has her Make It Rain, her double up, and also a little bit of an attack speed boost with the impure shots. So the combination of those three, it's going to allow her to kind of zone out Ashe. And now with the Doran's Blade and Longsword, it's going to be even more difficult for Ashe to get that farm that she definitely needs to make it through that mid to late game.
You know, I'm really interested to think what TLC was going for heading up. It looked like they were possibly going for a blue side invade, but it didn't turn out so well for them. And when they decided to try to disengage that fight, Jace well, he just got caught. I guess it does tend to happen right now, as actually Maple Street is going to go ahead and help with that red up there in the bottom side of the jungle before heading off to lane, getting the double goal. I'm just going to get a nice little advantage, and we're actually seeing a lane swap from TLC.
And that lane swap is all, they're just trying to shut down Singe. They want to make sure that they try to make sure that he doesn't have any sort of farm. They don't want him to have any items. They want him to just be heavily reliant on his ultimate, and that's it. And Jace, at the same time, he's a very, very good 1v2 laner. So they made the decision to do this, even though Jace may not get that much farm. As you can see, Misfortune Blitzcrank, they're just trying to completely zone him out as well. So they're not trying to push any sort of early towers. They just want to shut down top laners right now.
Right, and with all that, they're actually zoning out Singed quite nicely here, as they're taking him down to about a third of his health here in the top lane. Parole and Bell actually doing a very good job of shutting him down, making sure he's not getting any farm whatsoever. And Jace actually in the bottom lane, he hasn't gotten a single last hit either, with Evaniscus and from Maple Street zoning him out very effectively.
Yeah, and we'll start to see Jace pick up farm more and more, because once he has that EQ combo, he's still level 1, so he's not going to be able to do too much burst to creep or champions in general. Once he hits level 2, you'll see the last hits start to pick up. But it looks like we may have a gank in the mid lane onto Kelsey Jung.
Right, Casey Jong now trying to get out of that mid lane, running into the river, taking a pretty nice little chunk there from the Javelin of Nidalee, but 408, he's going to try to continue the assault, as Zhang actually going in up towards top lane, as Calamus is going down. Zev's trying to get there for the save, but it's not going to work out, as he is actually flashing down onto Fornal Parole, and 408 coming in to join the fight too. Parole getting taken very low. Zev's is going to go ahead and pick that one up, but Bell is going to go ahead and pick up the kill on Casey Jong, and they're going to go ahead and dive here down onto the top lane. Zev's getting taken very low. 408 now finally taking turret damage. He's going to go ahead and pick up Zev's, but they're going to take an even exchange there underneath the tower.
Man, that was a mess of a fight. Kills going down in the top and bot lane, and we still technically have a 1-0 kill lead, because you see 4-3, essentially nothing was really exchanged. But the big thing here is that bot lane tower, you can see, is now under half health, whereas you can see in the top, for Dirtnap Gaming, their top tower is still very, very safe. So we could be swiftly seeing a big advantage come out for Dirtnap Gaming in the next couple of minutes, because they were able to tower dive nicely. Maple Street and Evaniscus were able to go back and forth, trade off the tower aggro very nicely, and in turn clean up Grim Samurai, who is playing Jace right now, in a huge grab onto Grim. But nothing's going to be done about it, because Misfortune is still backing.
And with 408 right there, if they were to decide to go in on that one, it could have actually turned out to be not exactly favorable for Dirtnap Gaming there, as 408 now coming in with those Madred's Razors finished and that Rejuve bead. He's going to be doing, you know, a good fair amount of damage there, at least 2 from Maple Street.
Well, he's only going to have his base damage, because they did remove the longsword from Madred's Razors. It's only there as an item, as an armor item, also with a crate magic damage proc. So there's no real damage item on him at the moment, but it does allow him to be a little bit tankier, and he'll be able to tower dive a little bit more. We did see him tower dive Singe in the top lane. Actually, it was actually Nocturne. He tower dove Nocturne, and who is getting low right now? Some fight going on the top? No.
Now, but we do have Kelsey, Jung, and the junglers. We're kind of hanging around middle there right now, as Grim Samurai is actually on the run in the enemy jungle from Maple Street. He's going to go ahead and give pursuit. Zevs is pinged down, and they're going to continue. They're going to try to get Samurai before he kills himself to the turrets. The gate actually going down from Samurai. The flash actually being burned from Maple Street, and he's going to go ahead and pick up the kill. And up in the top side of this jungle, Kelsey John getting hit by another javelin toss from Nidalee, being taken down to about 400 HP. He's going to go ahead and back off of this one and not risk himself for another death.
So Jace, he is technically being singed in farm, but Singe does have 2 assists. And also at the same time, this Jace has been doing a fairly good job at getting Misfortune fed. 3-0 Misfortune with 44 CS. She will easily trump an Ashe right now, who is sitting at 45 CS and 2 assists. So in terms of gold spread,
and in the top lane, Calamist actually getting dove on again by TLC. He's going to go ahead and get taken down by Parole there, and it looks like they're going to get this tower.
Yep, so first tower has actually been going to TLC, surprisingly enough. I would have sworn that Dirtnap Gaming was going to be able to take that bottom tower very quickly, but there's only so much you can do against a 3-man tower dive, especially once you see the enemy team start to build a little bit of armor, and that's all that Xin Zhao need. You can see a couple tower shots, a little bit of poison from Singe, didn't even get him down to half health, so it could start to get very scary for Twisted Fate in the near future, because that's going to be their next goal, pushing down this mid tower.
And it also looks like Dirtnap Gaming is answering that top tower with a bottom tower right now, as they're going to go ahead, take this turret. And Kelsey Zhang has been taking quite a bit of harass in the mid lane from Arthalon, but he's getting it back quite nicely with those health potions, with that crystalline flask, and the farm actually fairly even for both sides.
Yep, and now a huge issue for Team TLC at this point in time is actually Zyra, the support, is picking up all the kills. Not all the kills, but half the kills right now. So if you take a look, she has 2,500 gold. Blitzcrank at 1,800. You'd think, all right, that's good. The support can pick up a couple extra items early on. That's going to be great for us. But it's heavily limiting the gold on the 80 carries. You can see Misfortune slowly closing on a 1,000 gold lead, but it looks like TLC might be picking up this dragon. If they do, it should put the 80 carries that much closer.
With Evaniscus actually trying to get in on this fight, but it's not going to happen. Zev's also trying to blow the ultimate and get in there. From Maple Street does pick up Xin Zhao in the exchange. Twisted Fate, though, falling to Arthalon's Nidalee, and Evaniscus getting taken extremely low. Fornop, Parole, and Bell are going to go ahead and pursue this with Jace. Arthalon now trying to get in there, trying to get an exit kill from Evaniscus, blowing the flash actually. Evaniscus flashing in response and getting the pull onto him. He's taking a couple of hits from the turret, and he is going to go down to Zevs. And Bell now trying to make something happen. The flash getting blown, but getting a quick exchange. Parole and Samurai getting Zevs extremely low. The last auto attack is going to take that out, but the Destiny Gate coming in from Kelsey Zhang. Parole getting taken really low. The Ignite going off, and Kelsey Zhang is going to go ahead and pick that one up. But Red Team's turret up in the top. TLC losing another turret in the exchange.
Wow, the exchange going in this fight has been unreal. I think that was a good 35-second team fight, and all the while, Singe wasn't even there, so he's just been busy farming and pushing top lane in. So even though Dirtnap Gaming did not get the dragon, and they also gave up, I believe it was 3 kills, they were able to return and pick up another 2 to 3 kills of their own. So they still have the kill lead, and they also have a tower lead. So Dragon's going to be back shortly, but Singe may be getting caught out here once more.
Yeah, Calamus is going to go ahead and blow the Insanity Potion to get away. He's going to go ahead and back off. He'll be safe. He'll be good to go. Maple Street now putting a little bit of pressure there on the mid lane. Going to try and get that third tower down. Bring this lane phase to a complete and total end. And Zevs now is going to go ahead, and it looks like he's taking blue. He's going to give... He's not going to give it up to Kelsey Zhang, which is understandable, seeing as he is down in the bottom lane. The farm now, as we can see, is getting a little bit skewed in the favor of Dirtnap Gaming. 78 CS on Maple Street to the 61 of Fornop Parole. So there's not a huge discrepancy there, but it is enough to make a difference, especially with the 4 kills on the side of Dirtnap Gaming. Twisted Fate up to 64, and then 59 on the Nidalee. So it is fairly even, but we are starting to see a little bit of an advantage towards Dirtnap.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the item difference right now, you can see Misfortune is going for a Bloodthirster, it seems. She does have that Vampiric Scepter and the BF Sword. Whereas Ashe, she actually has the Bilgewater Cutlass, so she's looking to go for the Blade of the Ruined King, which is still a fairly decent 80 carry item. Doesn't do quite nearly as much damage, but for an 80 carry without an escape, it's actually very good, because it gives them, once they have that item complete, it gives them a nice little chunk of movement speed. It slows down their Pursuer, so in Blade of the Ruined King, and then late game, for a defensive item, they can also pick up a Randuin's Omen. And those 2 items on their own, they can essentially peel 1 to 2 Bruiser/80 carries that are trying to dive in on you. And that's kind of all the protection you need. Maybe a root from Zyra, and Ashe will be fairly safe.
And the pull getting hit on Samurai. Zev's is going to go ahead and ult in on this. Calamus now diving the turret, flinging Parole. That bullet time hitting 3 members of TLC. 408 joining the fight a little bit late and getting brought down extremely quickly. Zhang's going to go ahead and take that one. The Destiny Gate is going out to try to scope out the last 2 remaining members of TLC, as they're going to go ahead and back off. An amazing engagement there by Dirtnap Gaming.
3 for nothing and a tower. So that's going to give Giant Gaming a very big gold lead, and this is what TLC did not want. They needed to try to secure some sort of lead to go to the mid game and be fairly strong. But now Dirtnap Gaming, I think that from these last couple of kills and towers, they're going to pick up a couple few very core items and in turn be virtually unkillable. You saw Singe just running around all he wanted. I don't think he didn't have his ghost. He did use his ignite though. He was just running around spamming laugh, trying to get people to focus him. If you take a look, he has the cloth armor getting very close to Rod of Ages, so he's going to have quite a bit of health just from raw health, and then also the mana scaling on top of that. And the little bit of armor is all he really needs, because even if they do try to start bursting him down, he does get a couple of defensive stats from his Insanity Potion going up. And wow, Dirtnap Gaming is just getting oh so tanky. You see Nocturne has a Phage, he also has Magus Razors and Dexterity Boots, so good amount of armor and health, and he's also picking up the Brutalizers. I'm probably be seeing a Black Cleaver coming out from him, and that's going to synergize with Misfortune oh so well, because if he gets off a couple of auto attacks in the middle of TLC in combination with his Duskbringer, which is going to do a nice little AoE physical damage on the enemy team, I believe that will also proc Black Cleaver on them as well. So Misfortune's ult will be doing a huge amount of damage because she also has that Bloodthirster completed. So some very nice breakpoints in favor of Dirtnap Gaming right now. If you take a look at TLC, they don't really have much. They have a hodgepodge of items right now. You see JC has a Brutalizer, which is a fantastic item on him, and he's getting close to having what seems to be a Mana Mune completed. And those two items are great on him, but if you take a look, if you compare it to what Dirtnap Gaming has, I don't think that his burst is going to be quite enough, because Ashe doesn't really have much in the way of damage. She's getting decently close to having that Ruin King done. But Nidalee only having Athene's Unholy Grail, Xin Zhao has Mercury Treads and almost the Lock of the Iron Solari, and then Zyra, who just has a Philo, a Sightstone, a Doran Shield. There's really not much in the way of big damage items coming out for TLC, so it's getting to be a little bit troublesome for this team right now.
And you know, I want to talk a little bit about that last team fight and how it all happened. As we saw down there in the middle lane, it was very interesting to see TLC using their Pwn Comp. They were using it to be as effective as they possibly could be. Only problem being is there's a Blitzcrank on the enemy team. If you're gonna try and poke and Blitzcrank lands a grab, well, your poke is pretty much null and void because you've just been engaged on. And the great thing that I saw from Dirtnap Gaming there was, as soon as the engagement down actually is Vel getting caught out by a Blitzcrank grab, and Maple Street's going to go and take that down. And now 408 trying to take Evaniscus down, as Maple Street took a big chunk there from Nidalee's Javelin, but she's going to go ahead and pick up the double kill. That poke comp not quite working out, and the problem that we're actually seeing right now is that when you're working on a poke comp, when you're running a comp that's centered around staying back and dealing as much damage before going in, if you fall behind, the enemy team is just going to be able to engage on you, and there's nothing you can really do about it, and that's pretty much what we saw right there. As actually Parole is going to go ahead and get the Ash Arrow down, the bullet time hitting all the members involved in Team TLC, and Kelsey Zhang going to go ahead and get the last hit down on that turret. TLC is trying to move in for some sort of counter to this, but it's going to go ahead and bite them in the rear, as from Maple Street takes down Parole. Samurai trying to get another gate and Q combo in there, but nobody's home. And Zev's actually using the Duskbringer to go ahead and bring Samurai out. The Nidalee Spear almost hitting him, but he was able to get out of there fairly safe.
Yeah, and now with just about a 5,000 gold lead, Dirtnap Gaming is essentially just walking through Team TLC. And like you were saying before, how a poke comp against a team that's fairly good at engaging between the pull from Blitzcrank, the ultimate, the paranoia from Nocturne, and then you have Singe, who's just great at tower diving. He can run around, he can tank towers all day as long as his Insanity Potion's up. So TLC does pick up this dragon, but it's really not going to be enough to make up for the difference in tankiness and just raw team fight ability that Dirtnap Gaming has at this point in time.
You know, the route 4,000 behind right now. We're about 16 minutes in, so it's still a pretty significant lead. Not something that they can't come back from, but it's something that they definitely need to be concerned about at this point, with the Lich Bane actually being finished on Kelsey Zhang, and he took a massive hit there from Nidalee with that spear, taking almost half of his health, and Crim Samurai is actually going to get The snipe with his gate. An outstanding positional play right there by Grim Samurai. And Calamus looks like he wants to go in on this. He wants to go in 3v4, but he's going to go ahead and back off. And, you know, just say, hey guys, I'm here. Yeah, you guys can go ahead and back up now. You know you don't like me. As Dirtnap Gaming is actually going to look to hopefully put some pressure on here.
And that play that they had on Twisted Fate is exactly what they need. They need a couple of lucky Nidalee spears, combine that with a nice follow-up of the acceleration gate combo from Jace, and they could easily chunk down Twisted Fate or Misfortune. If they can remove them from the map for just a couple of seconds, that's going to stall out Dirtnap Gaming that much longer, and it'll snowball a siege from TLC. And that's all they're looking to do between the volleys, the spears, and the gate combos from Jace. Combine, and then a root from Zyra. That'll kind of open the doors for Xin Zhao to come in and get a nice engage on the rest of Dirtnap Gaming, and then in turn they can hopefully try to pull something out from this. But a poke comp that gets behind, more like, generally speaking, they are going to lose. I don't like to be the doomsayer, but that's just essentially how it turns out. If a poke comp does they get behind by a couple of thousand gold, as we see right now, especially this early on, it gets to be very troublesome.
You know, the poke comp is always a high risk, high reward type of comp. You always take that big risk of getting that engage comp played against you, as we're seeing right now Dirtnap Gaming running against TLC. And then you've got to react to it. If you get engaged on, you've got to know how to react right there. As the rocket grab almost landing there onto Parole, that could have easily spelled disaster for them. As Kelsey Zhang is pushing this mid lane, he's going to go ahead and join his team now. As Singed throwing down that slow, they're going to go ahead steal this blue here. As Belle looks like she wants to go in on this. The Q from Jace almost landing on that, but Zev's is going to go ahead and take that one away relatively easily without the smite. And Zev's actually getting taken really low from that Nidalee Spear.
And something I would like to point out, Twisted Fate now has his Lich Bane complete, so he's going to be a tower pushing monster. He essentially doesn't even need to be near his team anymore, because he'll be able to draw away, be it, my guess would be Arthalon or on Nidalee or Grim Samurai on Jace, because those two are going to be the ones that can do some decent burst damage on Twisted Fate and try to take him down before he gets his Destiny Gate off. But at the same time, once they go to chase him, all he has to do is gate away and rejoin his team, because he does have that rank 2 Destiny, and that's going to allow him to teleport that much further, so he can essentially be in top lane and then get close to a little bit further down mid lane, so he can rejoin his team and then in turn start sieging yet another tower, potentially even tower dive. So the TLC needs to keep that in the back of their minds right now. And if he does decide to go split push, it's going to be a very scary situation for TLC.
And you know, we see TLC here trying to lay siege to this mid turret, but the problem I'm seeing, there's no Ashe. Ashe is sitting up in the top lane. The paranoia coming down, and Bell is getting engaged upon here. He's going to go ahead and blow the flash away. He's going to root him. And Xin Zhao actually trying to make something happen, but the bullet time taking Bell extremely low. And now TLC's on the run. Everybody's sitting around a 2/3 to 1/2 health, and that bullet time was just absolutely, it was very well placed there by Maple Street.
A whole lot of Summer Spells being blown, but that's about it. TLC, they can run back to their base and heal very quickly and potentially defend a tower push. Actually, it seems like Dirtnap Gaming might be backing off. They're just trying to steal buffs, a little bit of jungle farm, and then they're just going to be backing off. Probably going to be seeing a couple items being finished up here. As we can see, Singed has had that Rod of Ages done. He also has Home Guard. Let's see. He isn't running teleports, so we don't have to worry about any teleport, Home Guard shenanigans. Twisted Fate looks like he might be going towards Nomicon. Ooh, Ashe Arrow just barely missing Maple Street, and that would have been a tremendous kill, but instead it hit Evaniscus on Blitzcrank, and so they're not going to be able to turn anything out of that, just a little bit of tower damage. Anyway, going back to the items, it does look like Nocturne is going to pick up that Aegis of the Legion, as you can see. Singed engaging on 4 members of the enemy team.
And he's still staying alive as Parole actually getting flung in there. Calamus trying to stay alive there, but the flash is going to go ahead and get blown for that. Twisted Fate, though, is going to go ahead and pick up Zyra there. Maple Street going to go ahead and blow the flash and pick up Xin Zhao. Zev's just going absolutely ham on this team of TLC and picking up a double kill right there, as they're going to go ahead and pressure this mid turret. Samurai too low to do anything about this one.
And now inhibitor turret looks like it's going to be going down right around this 22-minute mark. They should be able to tank this up fairly easily. Not even necessary, so they're going to take this inhibitor very swiftly. I don't think she's going to be able to hold this one off at all. He's going to try to poke down Nocturne, as you can see. He's going to spell shield that one, get a nice little boost in attack speed, and take 0 damage from the Jace poke. They're just going to easily walk out of there. TLC, they're dropping lane wards near their base, trying to make sure you see a couple pink wards going down. Try to remove any sort of potential brush camp from Dirtnet Gaming. They're actually buying quite a lot of pink wards, even though they're so considerably far behind. I guess they're just so worried about Blitzcrank camping a bush and then grabbing someone from essentially nowhere. But now, this whole time though, Dirtnet Gaming, they've 3 or 4 members of the team have been buying wards at the same time, so I think TLC realizes how much potential vision that Dirtnet Gaming has been getting this whole game, catching out 1 or 2 people at a time, and they're trying to prevent as much of that as possible. Going for trying to get every drink that they can to get some sort of gold back in this game. You take a look, see Jace still working on that Tear of the Goddess. 564 stacks out of 750. Picks up that BF sword. So Jace is not very tanky. They're heavily relying on Xin Zhao to take a brunt of the damage, a brunt of that focus. He has that Lock of the Iron Sword completed, swiftly moving towards an Aegis of the Legion. So between the shield from Locket and the aura from Aegis, I guess they're relying on Jace to be just tanky enough that him and Xin can tank just enough damage so Ashe and Nidalee can do enough damage and try to clean up whoever they can. But Misfortune, Bloodthirster, Static Shiv, and Last Whisper. So her Beltane is going to be doing quite a bit of damage. That Last Whisper is going to shred enough of that armor, so it's still going to be a very scary ability to face. Combine that with it looks like Nocturne's not completed that Black Cleaver quite yet, but they do have that Aegis Legion up. So if you take a look at Dirt now compared to TLC, each member essentially has close to 2 items completed over TLC.
As Zevs is actually getting engaged on up in the top lane, but Twisted Fate is going to go ahead and stop that, put right an end to it, and the engage is now on Zevs, bringing on the pain to Bell. The passive going off, not hitting any member there of Dirtnap Gaming, and Dirtnap just going ahead and disengaging from this, taking that little victory. As we all like to say, you know, we're appreciating the little things, and then we're going home.
Now, one thing I'd like to make note of, and was talking about items, Kelsey Jung on Twisted Fate, you can see has the needlessly large rod, and we also have the Fiendish Codex. So I was actually expecting Twisted Fate to go for the likes of Azonia's Hourglass, but instead he's going for Deathfire Grasp. He's fully confident in his ultimate and engagement ability that he can essentially burst down, be it Ashe or Nidalee, in one little Deathfire Grasp gold card Q combo. And now Baron going down in favor of Dirtnap Gaming. Even before 25 minutes, this is going to be a very, very scary Dirtnap Gaming, because they already have 7,000 gold lead, and on 5 members having Baron buff, that's an extra 4,000 gold in stats on top of that. So they're essentially sitting on an 11,000 gold lead at this point in time. I don't see how TLC is going to try to be able to pull this one out.
And we actually see the Bulwark being finished on Nocturne. It's just going to add to the already inherent tankiness of that Singed, of that Blitzcrank, of the defensive items on Nocturne. So I see Zhong building that Deathfire Grasp. He's building a very, very all-in build, as he's actually going to catch 408 out here. Parole going to throw the volley out in attempts to try to keep them at bay. The Ash Arrow actually going off on the Calamist and not doing a whole lot. It's going to force the disengage, but other than that, it's going to do pretty much nothing, as 408 trying to back up over there at the tier 2 tower in bottom lane. But the wards going off from Evaniscus getting taken down as they can be seen by the tower, and Calamist actually is putting them on their back foot as he throws the slow out. Jace is going to go ahead and throw the gate out to try to counteract any kind of engagement they're trying to throw out. Now, they're going ahead and they're throwing the siege down on this turret. Arthalon trying to get those spears to land onto one of the carries. Zhong taking a little bit of damage from Jace, but nothing too major. They're trying to keep these waves cleared out as much as possible, as Zhong actually taking quite a bit of damage there from Jace. And we actually see Zevs coming in from the back as the turret is about to fall. They're looking to try to engage on this, but I believe they want to get the tower down as the tower does fall. Calamist and Zevs being that awesome frontline. Arthalon actually getting hit by the Blitzcrank grab. Samurai's going to go ahead and pick Blitzcrank up but Team TLC is on the run as Calamus and Zevs are making absolute work of the back line of TLC. MF gonna go ahead and pick up Zen and Zyra there. Twisted Fate going ahead and picking up the kill there on Arthalon, and they're looking to push this Nexus down.
Yeah, well, inhibitor just responds, so you have to kill off one of these inhibitors. There we go.
There
the
we go.
bottommost inhibitor going down. And TLC, they just let Maple Street do whatever he wanted. Maple Street was actually in the front line, attacking everyone that they could. And TLC, they focused down Evaniscus on Blitzcrank and Kelsey Jung on Twisted Fate. So, not exactly the best focus in the world, but at the same time, there wasn't much they could really do. So, this game is going to be going to Dirtnap Gaming. Very, very nicely done. And Dirtnap Gaming, time was on their side there. They could have waited another 20 minutes if they wanted to, and then they would have even been that much stronger because of their late game composition.
And you know, I liked TLC's comp. I liked the idea of what they were trying to do with it by having that poke comp to make sure that they could get them down before they go in. Unfortunately, though, when you get engaged on and you fall behind in that early game, it's just not going to work out in your favor because you're already going to be on your back foot, and they're going to be engaging right on top of you, and you're already a pretty squishy comp. So it's not going to be a good day for you.
Absolutely, but that was a very good game and a very surprisingly quick finish from what was an incredibly strong late game team comp, and that just came from the first blood of Misfortune. It allowed Dirtnap Gaming to quickly snowball away, even though they were trading kills back and forth. That first blood gold on Misfortune was all that they needed. Because take a look, Ash 8.8 thousand gold compared to Maple Street's Misfortune 12.7 thousand gold, and that is quite a huge difference. That's an Infinity Edge and a Zeal right there, maybe a little bit more. And as you can see, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, Static Shiv, and even a Giant's Belt compared to Ash's Infinity Edge, Blade of the Ruined King, and Zerka's Greaves. So the damage potential was just not there from TLC. But that's how the cookie crumbles. One team is destined to win, one team's destined to lose. Not much you can do about it.
And that is how we play the game, folks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and take a short break while we get the next match ready and all set up for you guys. Don't go anywhere, and thanks for showing up to the Virtual Warfare Community Show.